Hey, everybody. Hi, this is Dana with CoachDanaInspires.com. And we are here for business inspiration. And my guest, my pseudo guest, is Marty Dickinson from HereNextYear.com. And Marty was my first guest, and he is going to be my last guest. And today is my last business inspiration, not because I know. Don't cry. Not because I don't love y'all, but because I just decided that things run its course and I'm going to be rethinking some things. So Marty is here, not for me to ask questions, but for him to ask questions of me. So Marty, first off, let's do this right. How are you, Marty? How you doing?
Well, I'm going to have to turn the tables around and ask how you are doing because, here we are in Denver, Colorado. It's just after Christmas, 2021, and your final episode, it seems like it is your first. It was just, a year and a half ago or so when you started this, a little more than that, maybe.
Right.
And time sure flies. So what are you feeling today on your last episode of your program?
Well, I have to tell you, there's a little bit of, I'm kind of bummed because I really want to say I had a blast doing this. This is number 75. And for 75 of these, I have had a blast doing this. I love interviewing the people. I love getting information. I love sharing the information. So I'm a little sad, but I'm excited because I really want to rethink what's happening and what I want to do with this and make it have more of an impact on peoples that are out there. So I'm excited and a little bit teary at the same time.
Well, we're going to talk about a lot of those topics you just brought up and a bunch more because we have a very interesting opportunity here to, and I'm saying this collectively as people who are watching this, is you and I together get to just really interrogate Dana because she has been doing what so many people want to do. It's still a hot topic. I mean, podcasts, I don't even know when podcasts started becoming popular, but it has been the thing to do to position yourself as an expert in your field for years, and it just hasn't even slowed down. I mean, the people have far more listened to podcasts this year than any other year in history, and it's only continuing to increase. So we're going to get into some weeds here of putting on a podcast, the good, the bad, and the wonderful. and you'll be able to use this information to consider if you even want to start something like what Dana's been doing, and then how to sustain it. I remember when I interviewed Tom Singer on my own podcast, which is a private podcast actually in my Speaker Speak group area on Facebook, that he told me, he said, now he runs the podcast for National Speakers Association. So he knows about podcasting, that's for sure.
A little bit.
A little bit. And he told me one time during my interview of him, I can't remember the exact number, but he said most podcasts don't last more than double digits. They never get out of single digits. They never make the host never has more than 7, 8, or 9 episodes, and then they give up. So my first question, Dana, before we even go into why you started this in the first place, I'm just curious, the big secret, what drove you past just the mediocre average number, and you got into double digits and took it all the way to 75. So what was it that made you get over that hump?
What's wrong with me? What's the matter with me? That's the real question. What on earth? I didn't have a plan. I didn't say I will do 10 or 20. I'll do this to the end of the year because I started this thing on June 30th, 2020. So I didn't really have a plan. I just thought I'll just interview some folks. And it was just so interesting. And I was enjoying myself a little too much, I think is part of the problem. I was just having such a blast. And I really thought that what what people were sharing was such good stuff. And the people who were my guests, who were my interviewees, they were so gracious to share their information, share what they had with others. I really do hope that people went to their websites, went to their got their free list of tips and tricks, and got something out of these guests, because I just really enjoyed that sharing and that interaction with peeps. Yeah.
How do you find that when you're interviewing people, it always seems like when I interview people anyway, I have one type of relationship with that person before the interview, and by the end of it, something is different. Have you experienced the same thing?
Absolutely. I would have to say that out of the 75 interviews, I don't know, I knew 50-ish of them, give or take-ish, through some kind of connection, seeing them, hearing them at a conference or at a meeting or something. Some of those people, though, I knew because of another connection. I had never actually saw them in person or saw them in action, so I kind of reached out and, hi, you don't know me. Why would you want to help me? Would you want to do this? And totally gracious. And some of those people are folks that I would call on right now and say, hey, could you help me with this? Hey, I've got a friend who needs, hey, I'm going to be in your town. You want to have lunch? Has really changed a lot for me. A couple of those people, like you, Marty, we figured it out in the last couple of weeks that we've known each other since 1991. Hello, you were only 10 at the time. And all who believe that. But anyway, we know each other. We've been able to bounce things off, and me be your guinea pig for things, and you are clearly my guinea pig for things too. And other people that I consider friends, in low places. But a lot of these people I now can say, I could call them, I could collaborate, I could get a reference, I could, just really feel a better connection with them. And it's been great. It's really made a big difference, in my life, and I hope I've done something positive for them. Yeah.
Well, it seems easy that we can go to people that we know and say, hey, I've got this podcast, it's kind of getting going. Would you like to be on it? Or would you like to help me? Will you help me out is a better question. Please, please, oh, please. But you said something really interesting. You said that you saw other people speak in some location somewhere, virtual, and they didn't know you at all, and you approached them to be on your program, and they were gracious. Now that's two different things, because you've got the approach and then you've got the surprise of, well, what do you know? People are more gracious than I thought. So why don't you go in a little bit more detail about that for people who are worried about approaching somebody they don't know that they'd love to have in their program, even though their podcast might be brand new? How do you do that?
Well, it helps to be extroverted, but I don't think it's necessary. I think introverts out there, I think you have a chance. You can do it. Yeah. Hello, Marty. Yeah, I think it's, what do you want your podcast to say? What is it about? And find people who fit that niche. And, on LinkedIn, you can find them on Facebook. You might be in a Facebook group of speakers, for instance, and that there's a couple speakers in there. I mean, you see them on the screen, in the Muppet boxes or the Brady Bunch boxes, and you see them, but you really don't know them. Hi, our only connection is this. Okay. LinkedIn, I found many of my guests on LinkedIn that were friends of they were connections of mine. And yep. I see what they do. And I just reached out and said, would you? And they said, yes, absolutely. Now, not everybody said yes. And I got to say, at the beginning, early on, when someone either said no or never responded, I was discouraged. I thought, well,
Rejection.
doggone it, you know.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah, right. Well, and of course, you know, I think it's me, but it's
Right.
not me. They're busy. They have other things to do, and it's okay. Why would they be on my podcast? You know, maybe I need to say something differently about it. Maybe I need to list some people that I've already interviewed that might pique their interest. So I learned those things as I went along. And I will say, I would say I'm looking at my list of guests. The first 2 or 3 months were people that I know, like, and trust, and felt comfortable, you know, with, hey, Craig Lauder, would you be on my interview show? And he's like, no problem. Let's do it. This is the beauty of live. I love live. It's so fun. And this is why I do things live, you know? This is what I enjoy about the live. And so this is it. This is why live is fun. People always say, why don't you just record interviews and then you could just drop them whenever you want? And that's okay. I mean, that's all right to do that. But that little edge, that little tickle of something could go this way, something could go sideways, just like this. Marty had to drop off because some kind of crazy internet connection just went haywire. So instead, it's you and me, and this is really a lot of fun. I'm so happy to be here, and to hopefully Marty can get back on. Otherwise, it's just me talking, which could get a little boring after a while. I have enjoyed doing these interviews. I've had some really great interviews, information, inspiration from people that I honestly, I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting some of the great information that I got from so many people. Gary McKenzie, Russell Turan, Mark LeBlanc, Irvine Nugent, Henry DeVries, Craig Lauder, Deb Brown, Cheryl Green, Ed DaCosta, Corey Murphy, Blaine Little, Greg Jameson, which I can never say correctly, Stephanie McHugh, Tim Barnaby, Peter Brissett, Steve Olson, Darren LaCroix, Jackie Klosterbroer, Aaron Riney, Elaine Lung, let's see, Dean Menudo, Rich Hopkins, Donna Padilla, Albert Chang, Bill Brown, Bob Ramsey, Ray Engen, Stormy Andrews, Kathy Kaluza, Penny Kidd, Shawnee Klein, Billy Ortega, Joyce Feusel, Christina Katz, Denise Banks, Vanessa Emerson, Lauren Schaefer, Sue Bingham, Matt, I'm so sorry, Matt, I'm going to mess up your name, Sligel. Then we also had David Goodman, Lisa Oblotsky, Dave Striegel, and Teresa Ashby, Kim Nagel, Des Thornton, Mason Harris, Mary Schmid, Monica Miller, Velma Knowles, Patrick McCowan, Billy Archiment, Jill Lublin, Tim Lenz, Linda Ray, Michael Alexander, Tom Singer, Lois Kramer, Frank King, Owen Fernandez, and then Ford Sakes, Terry Lancaster, and Cindy Saylor, and Dr. Ed Jackson. So we just had a Google of people, a gaggle. Oh, did I say, I'm sorry, Mike Dormich. I'm so sorry, I forgot him, and Don King. How could I forget those guys? Anyway, so we had 74 of y'all, and then this one.
It's a good lead into my next question for you.
Ask away, ask away. What's up?
Because people that get podcasts started really get hung up on technology, and they delay, they buy a whole bunch of equipment, or they don't, and they worry and procrastinate.
Probably procrastinate is what he was going to say. And so what challenges that I go through and what went well or didn't go well. We'll just move on along with his question. I've known Marty long enough. I know exactly what he's going to say. Right. Actually, I would have started this at the beginning of June, but instead I started it June 30th of 2020. And the reason I put it off is because I kept thinking I didn't have the right equipment. I kept thinking I didn't have the right stuff. So it had nothing to do with, well, I mean, maybe that I wasn't good enough. I mean, I never think, I always want to, be the best, like most of us do. But I kept thinking I don't have all the right, equipment. And so I finally just, I got a couple lights. Okay, maybe this will help. My beautiful background. I love that. That's great. That's my signature background. But I just said, you just have to go do it, Dana. Shut up and do it. And that's what I did. So I just went and did it. And as I've come along, I've changed lighting. I've gotten is that a word of the day? I have acquired, ring lights, and I've acquired side lights, and I've acquired other backgrounds. And so when I do professional presentations, like to a group, I have a wood panel back there, wood paneling. But this is my signature. I like it. People seem to like it. People laugh, and isn't laughing really what it's all about anyway. So there you have it. But I just said, do it. Just shut up and do it. So I have a new camera now. And I love it. Thank you, Patrick McCowan, for advising me on what on earth to do with that. And yeah, so I'm loving it. And when things go wrong, first happened, my internet kept going down, and I was freaked out. I had to do it on my phone sometimes, and I would just get so wound up over it. And I am tightly wound. If anyone knows me, I am tightly wound. But I was just very. I have after a year and a half of this, I'm much more like, oh, we just lost Marty. Okay, well, bye, Marty. We'll talk to you later. I'll just finish the question and keep on talking. So I'm much more easygoing about it, and it does really help.
It does bring another question, though. So
yes.
you are one of the few that I know who prefer to go with Facebook Live for your show instead of recording. I always record everything, and this is a great example why. I mean, in at least 2 years of having almost continuous virtual lives every day or every other day, this is the very first time that right smack in the middle of one, I've had an internet connection problem. So that's a good run. I'm happy about that. I'm unhappy that it's in your last show, but it does beg the question: why do you choose to go with Facebook Live as opposed to recording?
I like, because to me, I like adrenaline. I like that little bit of, oh my gosh, something could go wrong. Oh my gosh, what will the guest say? Oh my gosh. And then it is recorded. I edit the recording, and then I put it all on YouTube. So Ed DeCosta and I, we had a little chat about dogs in the middle of our interview. It was a great chat. We all had fun, but I deleted that out of the recording. I just like that on the edge, something could happen feeling. That's why I enjoyed skydiving. That's why I enjoyed driving a race car. That's why I enjoyed traveling to faraway places out of the country by myself, because I like that. Ooh, what could happen? So I like that. So that's why there has been, I think, 2 guests that I really, really, really wanted, and the time that I do Facebook Live just was not going to work for them at all. So I recorded them, and then I dropped the video on Facebook at the right time. But yeah, it wasn't nearly as fun for me. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've certainly accumulated skills that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise if I didn't have the people that I interviewed. I'd like you to
Right.
talk a little bit about that, about how this program has helped your ability to in speaking, just in other places. You know, how has that contributed, and also in interviewing people? How have those skills developed over the past year and a half?
Yeah, well, I've never been afraid to get up in front of a room of a bazillion people, no problem. I've always needed the, oh, you need an opening, a closing, and then, oh, shut up within a certain amount of time. Because I can talk forever, as you know. But I think the speaking, being very confident in what I have to say, getting to know what the person, you know, doing some research on them, that's been really helpful to be able to speak more to what the interview is going to be about. And my interview skill, oh my gosh, go back and look at the first one, Marty. It's hysterical compared to, you know, these last ones, and just how I've grown in being able to interview people. I have notes. I use notes all the time for these interviews, and I have them hung over here someplace. Not to give away any big secrets, but y'all need to figure this out. Is put the notes where you can see them, and then I'm animated. I talk. I mean, I move when I'm talking. My head talks. My arms talk. You know, if I was standing up, I'd be walking around. I mean, that's just how I talk. So while I'm interviewing, my notes being over here, I'm just talking. And while you don't know, all y'all out there in Facebook land and are you on YouTube, you don't know, I'm reading my notes, but I'm not going like this. So Marty, how are you today? Did you go on a ski trip? No. So what I'm doing is as I'm talking and listening to what you have to say, and I'm just turning my head, I'm looking around, I'm thinking, you think I'm thinking, but in reality, I'm glancing at my notes and, oh yeah, that's the next question. Now I've read the questions. I've read them again and again and again. So I'm prepared. I know what the questions are. So it's not, oh my gosh, what am I going to ask next? But it is a, just kind of a reminder, you know, I could just pop over there and just look. And it's worked pretty well for me. Yeah. I like
I
it.
have my notes actually behind the camera eye on a music stand. And nobody
Yes.
can tell that I'm looking at notes. I just kind of glance up a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's just part of conversation. People don't even see it. So you figure out your own way to do it, whatever is comfortable for you. So you know, we're getting close to the end of this already. I know I was kind of out for a little bit, but there are two questions that I think are really, really important for people to know that are thinking about starting a podcast, or if they've just gotten started and they're trying to ramp it up. And the first one is money. Show me the money. I mean, this is so many people start podcasts because, well, it's going to bring in all kinds of new business. So let's hear from you. What is having a podcast done for your business?
Well, I think I'm going to just take one step back to begin the answer to that question. And the step back is, when I started this, I was not at all thinking about making money off of doing this. That was not my intention. My intention was, we were in lockdown during COVID. People are being discouraged. People are not stepping out. People are not doing what they could do. Oh dear, you know, how can I facilitate something so that people will be encouraged? And so that's what started this. So it wasn't about me making money. And in fact, a very dear friend and coach of mine, Marty Dickinson, well, finally, after 6 months, 9 months, said, you never tell anybody what you do. And I didn't, because it was about the guest. For me, it was about the guest. It was not about me. It was not about what I do. It was about the guest and how the guest could help others. So that's how it started. I will say that I've gotten an MC gig or two from it. I have not gotten any coaching clients from it. I coach women entrepreneurs to build their businesses, and I haven't gotten any of those, but that's okay. I didn't do it for that. But this has brought me connections that have brought me business. Speaking gigs, ideas for what I'm going to do with my book, those kinds of situations. So have I made $1 bazillion? No. Have any of my guests made $1 bazillion from being a guest on my show? I'm going to guess no. This has completely been, if one person watching this video gets something out of it to continue to build, to gain momentum, that was all I wanted. So in my mind, I have been robustly successful, because I hear from people all the time, hey, I got a great tip. Hey, I contacted that person. Hey, I really like that. I'm going to try that now. Why I just really feel like it's been okay. I don't feel like I've wasted a minute of my time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an important point too that you just made, because when you start something like this, you do have to know what your objective is. Why are you getting into this? And you answered that question for you, and people have to answer that for themselves, because it's that why that's going to get you over the challenges. And that's my other question for you is what kind of challenges did you not expect? I mean, you expected that there were going to be challenges with maybe how to interview people or the technology part and getting things to work. I mean, we always expect things to happen, and usually they don't. It's kind of funny that way, but then when you're not expecting it, all of a sudden internet connections all of a sudden explode for no reason at all. I don't get it. But so what kind of unexpected challenges did you face?
Well, I will say that I when this first started, I don't know, it was within the first 10 or 12 interviews, I would be on Zoom with them, and then when I went to go live, everything would go shut down. So I would have to scramble, get on my phone, and go live on my phone. I wasn't expecting, and it would make me so stressed. I mean, every single time it made me so stressed out. But like when all this happened and you had to drop off for a second or two, I just said, a year and a half ago, I would have freaked out about this. And instead now I go, okay, that's okay. I'm going to just speak and talk, and let's move on, and let's see how we roll with it. Some other challenges I got was when a guest would agree to be a guest would agree to be a guest, and then they just didn't show up, and you're kind of going, they're not answering their phone. They're not responding to texts or emails or anything. That's only happened twice. So I'm okay. I mean, things happen. People, and especially, COVID is real, but COVID is also, boy, not to sound really mean and unkind, but it can be a great excuse. Like, oh, well, I had something else to do, but I'll just tell them, well, COVID. How would I know? I wouldn't know whether you have COVID or not. But that's only happened twice where people just didn't show. One person later on said, oh my gosh, I was completely, my calendar, I had you on the wrong day, on the wrong time, at the wrong everything on my calendar. I am so sorry. No harm, no foul. I had them back on I had them on, and it was fine. Somebody else said yes. They said they caught COVID. When I went to follow up with them, they never responded, and they've never responded to any of my reaching out since then. And what I would love, and I've always said this about people, if the answer is no, just say no, thank you. No, thank you. That's not, I'm not interested. And that makes my life easier. Okay, I don't hate you. It just means this is not your gig, and I'll see you at this conference or that conference. No big deal. So be honest, and no, this isn't something I want to do, or I'm not going to get anything out of it, or I want money, or whatever whatever you want, just be honest. It always makes it a little easier for everybody.
Yeah. One thing I don't think I've ever asked you, I'm not sure what your background is with being a guest on other people's podcasts. Have you been a guest frequently, and if so, or if not, how has that impacted the success of your own show?
I have been a guest, and I would say, I mean, I don't know if I can actually give an exact count, but I would say probably 20, maybe 30
Yeah.
tops. I think I think me being the host has helped me be a better guest. Yeah, listening skills, keep responses kind of short to the point, and then if they want to follow up, then you can throw more meat on the sandwich, but not to be too windy and long, and not to get too far off track with things. Yeah, it's
Okay.
helped. Yeah.
And to actually show up and to show up on time.
Yes, yes. Helpful, helpful. One of my guests early on, and see, I mean, I learned things. When I would post it, I would say this time Eastern, but I never said AM or PM. And one of my early guests, who's on the West Coast, thought it was PM.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why? That's crazy, but why not? Why wouldn't it? It could have easily been PM. The guy wasn't out of his mind. He thought that's what it made sense to him. And I thought, oh my golly gosh, oh dear. So, I that was something I learned. Eastern time, AM, and then / Pacific time. It's just, whatever it was, just make it really clear so people are not confused.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
so you've learned so many things, and I always think it's like learning a new sport. You have 1,000 things to learn all of a sudden, and you learn one by one by one by one. So after repetition, you get better and better and better, and you don't have to think about so many things. And now you've got all this knowledge, and you've got all these interviews of people. Where is this all going? What are you thinking is going to be in store for you using all this knowledge and information you've gained for 2022?
Right. So I'm going to take a break from it. And then what I really want to do is I want to become much more focused on the message that goes out. Because this, when I was interviewing these 75 fabulous guests, there was leadership, there was giving, there was health, there was meditation, marketing, coaching. There were so many things. I mean, everybody brought something different to the table. And I liked it because this one may not resonate with this group of people, but it might resonate with these people. Okay. And then next week, that might resonate with those other people. And so I thought it was, for me, I really thought it was great to have, kind of a vegetable soup, let's say, of interviews. Some people don't like the carrots, but other people love the mushrooms. So that was great. But what I really think I want to do is focus in on a particular topic, a particular subject, and maybe not every week, maybe once a month doesn't sound often enough, but maybe twice a month, have an interview on that topic and really go into a little bit more depth on it. But certainly all this information that I've received from everybody, everything's out there on YouTube. You just search for Dana Morgan Barnes, look for business inspiration, and you'll see a list of all the people there and descriptions of what they're about. Go back and look at them. They're there for anyone to go look at and get great information from. So I think I'm going to take some of that information and maybe put it in a book. I don't know. Things could happen. Yeah.
Well, you've certainly been an inspiration to people, not just on the business side, but just on the personal side as well. A lot of people have followed you, become introduced to you, and they want to get to know you, and they want to be part of where you're going in the future. So I commend you on your effort for the
Thanks.
past year and a half. We went a little long in this session, but it's your show. You can do whatever you want. That's how it works.
It's my last show. I could be here for a long time.
That's right. That's right. And there's so much information that you now have the ability to share with other people that are thinking about getting started with this. I'll just end my portion and then give you the opportunity to make the send off by asking one final question, and that is, how do you address the question to that people might give you where they say, Dana, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. You've done this before. What do you think? Should I do it?
My answer is yes. Flat down, yes, do it. And even if all you do is 3, if that's you tried it and all you ended up was with 3, you tried it. That, to me, you got to try it. Otherwise, a year, 2 years, 5 years, you're going to be going, I had this opportunity to do that. You want to be, I would give them advice. I would, call me, we'll talk for a while. But, think about your lighting, think about your subject, think about who you want to, who do you want to reach? Darren LaCroix always says it doesn't need perfect. You just need to get it done. And he's right. Done is better than perfect. And so you might not have the best camera. You might not have the best lighting. Maybe you want to be outside and you live in Wyoming and it's 18 degrees in the middle of the day with winds at 40 miles an hour. Okay, don't go outside then, bring it inside. But just, if you don't try, then the answer is always no until you ask. So go try it, do it. I would love to talk to anybody who wants to start doing this. And I would love to just talk to them about what I learned and how I did it. It would be wonderful. I would love to do that. So yeah, thanks, Marty. That's like super cool and great. You're fabulous. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry that the technical issues.
Yeah.
But here is
like you said before, you are the star today. You are the guest. So me just having my picture up there is plenty. That is enough. It's all about you today.
Well, thank you, Marty, for being my interviewer. This is Marty's information right here. Marty Dickinson, herenextyear.com. And this is my information down below. Dana Morgan Barnes. Dana Inspires is the name of the company. Coach Dana Inspires is the website. Dana at Coach Dana Inspires is the email. There's my phone number, by the way. Always will, if I don't answer, it's because I'm with a client or talking to somebody else. Leave a message, I'll call you back. But I speak to companies about the culture of kindness, increasing your bottom line. Come on. People think being kind is being soft and squishy, and sometimes it is. But being kind is telling that employee they're not doing a good job and why and how they can improve. And then if they don't, then you have a reason to let them go. It's not letting people slide by. It's taking control and showing compassion and being real with people. And that's really what I love talking about. I love training companies doing that. I coach women entrepreneurs. I love people. And that's the fact, Jack, or Marty, or anybody named Jack out there. I really have enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed the interactions. I've enjoyed talking to these guests and learning so much. So Marty, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being my guinea pig and I being yours. So until I show back up again on Facebook Live, we'll see you later. Have a great day and Happy New Year, everybody. Be prosperous. Be kind.